I'm Dannie, I work for the NSPCC and I work with children and families in Grimsby. You just don't know what you're going to come into every day. There's different things happening in different families and it's just having to react and make change. There was one particular child that I worked with where there was just so much going on for her at home, and I did often worry about her safety. She was really anxious, quite withdrawn. There was a lot of arguments between parents, financial difficulty, which meant there was often over a lack of food. There was some substance misuse, mum's mental health. It was affecting her day to day. She was anxious, she was shy, she didn't want to speak to anybody. So we did a lot of one-to-one work, sort of building up trust, and sort of getting her to feel comfortable around me so that we could then talk about what was worrying her. She would often feel scared and upset. Talked about Dad being quite angry and shouting at her quite often. I'd not been able to get in touch with the family for quite some time, sort of probably about a week. Just felt a little bit worried that I'd not seen, wondered what was going on really, so I decided to just do an ad hoc visit to the house. When I got there, basically it was just chaos. Dad had thrown a bottle at Mum's face, there'd been alcohol use, and basically they were all really anxious and Mum was really upset and quite angry. I wouldn't say it's the easiest thing in the world because you're sort of walking in, you're like, okay, what's happened? Is everybody safe? That's the first thing. So I sort of had just walked into a complete scenario that I wasn't expecting really. It was about kind of slowing it all down for myself and for them because I need to make sure that I'm getting all the right information so I can make the right decisions. I needed a bit of backup and the support from children's services, so they, I rang them and they came out. We decided that it was probably best for everybody just to calm the situation down and have Dad leave. He was saying that he wouldn't leave unless he took the child with him. That obviously created loads of anxiety for this child. She had to make a decision there and then as to who she was going to go with. And I think she just didn't know how to cope with that feeling. So she took herself off and went into the cupboard. Obviously I could see that was kind of her trying to find a safe space for herself. We sat in there for a little while, had a little chat and kind of managed to calm her down. For a child to process everything that's going on, it's really tough. It's about building relationships, so because we'd had such a good opportunity for me to build up some trust with her, she felt comfortable enough for me to do that. Dad moved out of the family home, and I think that straight away just released a lot of the tension. He was able to have contact with the children, which I think was reassuring for particularly the little girl that I was working with. That was her big worry that she wouldn't be able to see Dad once he'd gone. So I was able to give them some emotional support and give them safe space to talk about what had happened. At the end of our work, she was a lot more confident, a lot more chatty, and I hope she's been able to really build upon that and feel good about herself. To be honest, I don't think you ever fully switch off. I think if you truly care about the families that you work with, which you do, and that's the reason you do the job, you always want to make sure that everybody's safe and that everybody's okay.